Hello and welcome to another episode of the coMra podcast series, Healing with Coherence, founded by Rain & Life Technologies. My name is Michael Tsvetanov and I'm your host today. This is episode 4 of this series, delving into the profound transformation of healing science technology happening in the world today. My guest today is Leslie Carmen. Hello, Leslie.
Hello, Michael.
Hello, Leslie. Welcome to the coMra podcast, Healing with Coherence. I'm very glad to welcome you as my guest today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to our discussion. And before we jump into our discussion, Leslie, I would like to introduce you to our listeners today. So Leslie Carmen is a certified laser therapist and a leading expert on laser therapy. She's also Psych K practitioner, Reiki master and teacher, and she's the founder of Carmen Care Laser Clinic, which she founded in 2013 and opened in Boca Raton in Palm Beach County, Florida, where Leslie and her team have been treating successfully thousands of patients suffering with many various conditions in the field of neurological disorders and acute and chronic pain, like, for example, trigeminal neuralgia, myalgic encephalomyelitis, or fibromyalgia, and many other neurological disorders. And Leslie has given over 250 seminars educating communities about laser therapy and its healing effects for various painful conditions. She's also a developer and founder of the T3 paradigm, which she and her team have been using in the Carmen Care Laser Clinic, which is actually a healing process addressing the trauma caused to the cells, the toxins that slow down the healing in our cells, and the negative thoughts trapped in our cells that can block our desired healing. I know this might sound a little bit complex, but that's what I would like to discuss today with Leslie, beyond others, and understand better what the T3 paradigm is. And finally, we'll be talking with Leslie today about the healing abilities of low-level laser therapy, as known today as photobiomodulation, and especially about treating acute and chronic pain with low-level laser therapy. And we'll delve deeper into different protocols that Leslie and her team have been using in the Carmen Care Laser Clinic. Leslie, a long introduction, but there is so much that I needed to tell to our listeners about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, Leslie, beyond others, actually, beyond or before you entered the low-level laser field, you had other experiences with the medical field.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you what these experiences were and what was actually your beginning in the medical field.
Sure. So, well, I was born in New York, but I was raised in Zurich, Switzerland. And I decided I just loved medicine. Apparently, as I remember as a little girl, I would always play with my teddy bears and play doctor. So that was somehow something I always loved doing. And so I chose a medical profession, and it's called, the way you say it in Swiss German is Arztgehilfin, which is a doctor's helper. And it's a bit different than here. You learn, you go to school and you learn the administration of the office. Let's say you're helping a physician in his office and you're helping with the administration work, the billing, but you also do the blood work, which is quite fascinating. You know, you do the whole aspect of helping him in his office. So you also do the EKGs, the drawing of the blood, and we actually used a microscope and looked for parasites in the stool, and we looked for we counted the white blood cells, which is crazy to think that today you just have something that does it automatically. But that's how I started, and I really loved the medical field. And I worked in a doctor's office, and then also in the surgery in the operating room. And I just really loved being with the people, and just the whole field was very interesting to me. But then I met my, at the time, husband, and he was in the music field. And I also loved music. So then I devoted my time with him, and we had a studio, and we were, touring and sang on stage, and did also some television performance. So it was really nice to be in that creative field as well. But then when we came to Florida later on, I just had to stay a little bit, in the music field, but then I always loved the medical field, and I really wanted to continue in that. And it seemed like when my daughter then got sick with trigeminal neuralgia at 17, I was doing a lot of surfing and looking for help, and there was really no alternative. It was just surgery or medicine. And because I had that, that previous knowledge from Switzerland where they look at things more homeopathically, it's you don't right away do surgery, you don't right away take drugs, you take herbs, and you try to be much more conservative. I just didn't want to rush into that. The surgery was, very extensive, and it's brain surgery, and I didn't like the side effects of it. So I really researched a lot. And that's when I came across that there was laser therapy done in Russia a lot,
Hmm.
and also in Israel. And then there were a couple of places in the United States. There was not a lot of information about laser therapy at the time. But I just felt inside this voice that told me that's what you got to do. That's going to help her. And we found one place, and she went there and she got better. And that's when my life changed, because with the knowledge of the medicine that I had, and with just wanting to help people, and knowing that this disease that she had is also labeled as a suicide disease, and there's technically, people say there's no help, there's no cure, and knowing that there was help, there was this spark inside of me that just gave me a whole purpose, a whole new life purpose. And it was a very strong force that just said, you've got to do this. And it's like a motor that still today keeps pushing me and pushing me and pushing me to do, to do this and to learn more about it and to help other people. And so that's how I got started with laser therapy, actually through my daughter.
Okay, okay. Well, that's a very nice story, and yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that story,
Yeah.
because I mean, all the story is very well outlined on your webpage,
Yeah.
and I read through it. But for our listeners right now, I was wondering actually how, and you explained the difference between how such cases and neurological diseases are in overall addressed in Switzerland, and that you were missing that approach in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
How long after your daughter Lee was diagnosed with trigeminal neuralgia, you happen to find any information about the possibility of treating her with lasers?
Yep. Well, she was diagnosed in October, actually. Um, just early October, and it took a long time to diagnose her. I think that's something that a lot of sufferers have the same issue with, because she had tooth pain first, and we went to the dentist and we couldn't find anything, and then she went to this doctor, neurologist, they couldn't find anything. It was just back and forth, back and forth. And it took a while. When she was actually, at the time when she had this, she was playing ice hockey up in Lake Placid. So I was always calling her, and it was a very difficult time because she's so far away and she's dealing with this. And should she come home? And but her pain was just sporadic, but it was started to become worse and worse and worse. So it started to become every morning at 3:30 it would hit her, and she'd throw herself on the floor with pain, and it was just horrible. So then she ended up in the emergency room, and then we flew up there and brought her back home. And then she had to be out of school and couldn't play ice hockey anymore. And all that was just on heavy duty pain medication. And the doctors that I went to here said, well, there's just Lyrica. And I don't want to put any medication down, but it was just, just medicine. That's all, pain
Yeah.
medicine and these other medications. And this is not going to be her life. This is not, I just chose, this is not going to be what her destiny is. And I just was working at the time, but I would stay up until late in the morning and surfing and surfing and surfing. And, I sometimes say this and sometimes I don't, but I'm going to choose to say this today because I'm becoming more and more spiritual. I always have been spiritual, but I actually prayed. So it was 3 weeks into it when she was sick, and I prayed to God. And I said, God, please show me a site where I will find healing for her. And I said, I'm going to go to work tomorrow. And because I was tired of surfing, and I said, tomorrow at 12, I have a lunch break. And I said, please show me where I can get healing. And all morning I was constantly talking to God. I said, to remember at 12 o'clock, I'm going to go type. and, and I said, just show me a site. And I went on there and I said, cure for trigeminal neuralgia. And this website popped up that I had never seen before. And it was in South Carolina. They unfortunately closed in the meantime, but this is 13 years ago. And I just felt in my heart that's where I need to go. And we went there, and that's where she got her healing. And since then, I've always, been a strong believer. I follow my intuition, I follow my heart. And I was so blessed, so blessed to have done that, to follow my heart, and to have done that within a 3-week period, because there are some people, they suffer for decades before they find any help. And I think this was just my destiny. It was my daughter's destiny. So many times we sit together and we think, oh, what you've gone through. And we say, but, we wouldn't want it any other way. Even her, she's such a trooper. She said, it was excruciating pain, but due to that pain, we've been able to now help over 3,600 people that are suffering. And we, just are so thankful that we were able to experience this horrible thing, but make it something positive. And so I was
So,
lucky. Mm-hmm.
so until then, there was no mention about laser as a
Nothing.
possibility, nothing at all.
Nothing. People just said medication. They said surgery. Nobody knew about laser at all. There was no information about it. And thank God I just trusted my instinct, because when I did ask other people, I told them I'm going to go to a laser clinic. They said, laser? What, are you crazy? There's no information about it. And I said, look, God showed me to go there. That's faith. I'm going. I just
Okay.
said I'm just going to do it. And thank God that's what helped her.
Why do you think there wasn't any interest or any mention in the traditional medical environment about laser when there was even a clinic obviously treating already these conditions,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously successfully, right? Because you
Absolutely.
went there and tried it as well, and it worked out.
Absolutely. I think it's the education. I think the schooling, so where the doctors go to school and get educated, it's just not broad enough. They're not including these kind of treatments, and holistic has just not really been accepted, I don't think, as much as the traditional medicine has. But I think it's coming back. I see that because now when you type in laser therapy, now you see so many more things. There have been over 4,000 studies, or even more than that, in the meantime. So I think it's starting to come. And at the time, 13 years ago, it just wasn't known. It's just, I guess, our society, the medical industry, whatever it is, but it's just, we're much more medical. Let's take pills, let's do surgery. We're much more aggressive as a country. We're always aggressive. And I think that's changing now. I can see it in the patients that come to us. They're saying, I'm done with medication. It's not helping. It's not getting me anywhere. And again, I just want to talk about chronic, right? I do never want to put medicine down, like heart failure, things like that, blood pressure, all, whatever it is. We need medicine for a lot of things. So I'm absolutely not against medicine, not putting that down, but we're talking about chronic pain. And that's where I think is the big, difference, that we need to, in chronic pain, we need to help with holistic things, because traditional medicine is just it's not doing it.
Now, just for the listeners who are not probably that versed into differing between different types of laser therapies,
Mm-hmm.
because a laser therapy could be a therapy which is used, for example, in the beauty medicine.
Yes.
It could be a therapy used in pain management, but we talk here about very strong lasers.
Yep.
And then there is something which is called the biophotomodulation or low-level laser therapy. Can you explain a little bit what is the difference between all the
Sure.
different lasers and what kind of lasers actually was used for Lee and later on in your clinic? And we'll be getting to your clinic, of course.
Yes, sure. I'd love to do that. So you're completely right. Laser is a very broad term, and it's classified between class 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 4 is a high-powered laser. And I don't want to get too technical because there's so much information on it. But the surgical lasers are that class 4 that can be set very high, so that the laser light that is coming out is a very fine point and has lots of power, and that will actually burn your skin because you have a very fine point, lots of power. So that's going to be a surgical laser where you want to cut tumors away, or all these different things. Now that laser set a little bit less when you want to do face, the facelifts that they're doing. They're basically lasering the first layer of the skin, and they're burning the skin so that the skin grows back like new baby skin. So those are all surgical lasers. Then there's still in class 4, but these lasers are at a way lower power. So they're basically called cold laser, because there's not really heat to burn. So it's based on the frequency, the power of the wattage and so forth. It can get quite complicated then with the waves and the frequency and the pulsed and, continuous wave and so forth. So I don't want to go into all that because it gets way, way too complicated. But the lasers that are used in the healing modality, they're now changing, as you're correctly saying, to photobiomodulation because it's being often confused with the surgical lasers. So people ask me, well, you do hair removal. I'm like, no, we don't do hair removal because that would be, again, a warm laser. It's burning away the hair. So we're using the laser that is set to a frequency that is only healing, that will not damage the cells, that will not create any kind of thermal reaction. And it's penetrating so deep and gently from cell to cell and through the skin. They can penetrate, from a 0.5 millimeter to 3 inches. We're thinking that it's 3 inches. There's not much information, I think, too much on that, but we're just seeing the results that we're getting. People with back pain, there's penetration there. So it's just basically a gentle process to bring energy to the cells. And the cells we have over 60 to 100 trillion cells in our body, hundreds of different types of cells, but most of them have this mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. And it is there where the laser penetrates and stimulates the cell's activity, the mitochondria in the cells, and the cells start working better and they do their job better. So I once saw a beautiful quote by Dr. Bruce Lipton. He said, "We're made of cells. How are you charging them?" And I love that because that's so easy. That's like right there. That's the explanation, right? How are we charging them? With laser therapy and different types of lasers.
Okay. So when you say, actually, before we started talking about the types of lasers, you mentioned holistic healing.
Yes.
So I just wanted to ask you, how do you connect holistic healing with laser? Now you touched upon that a little bit now, but can you expand a little bit more on that?
Of course. So for me, holistic is anything that's not going to cause you pain, that's not going to cause you side effects, that is going to be a natural way of healing with your body's own healing capability. So the laser is beautiful for that. There are no side effects. It's never going to damage, hurt you, or anything like that. And it works coherently, beautiful with your own body. So our cells are constantly dividing and need energy. And so when we're giving this laser light and energy, it's working with our cells together, and it's helping the cells to do their job better without hurting them, without damaging them, without any side effects. So that's why I look at laser or photobiomodulation to be very, very holistic and extremely safe.
Okay. So what kind of conditions have you been treating with laser or with low-level laser therapy?
So when we opened in 2013, we started with just knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, the very regular, normal, easy things, inflammation, and so forth. And over the years, we've grown to treat really anything. And I love, my specialty is really things that nobody else can treat. Nobody else knows why. Why are the people sick? Why do I still have pain? And I've been to so many doctors and nobody can find out what's wrong. Nobody can see anything on a blood test, on an x-ray, on an MRI. Why am I still so sick? Those have now become my specialty, my patients. I love that because I love finding out what's going on, and it's not that difficult. And that's how I had developed that T3 paradigm.
Okay. Before you developed that T3 paradigm, what was your journey with the laser therapy when actually Lee was healed? Then you instantly knew that you want to endeavor on further on that road, right?
Right. Well, as soon as she was healed, excuse me, I just knew that I had found my life passion, and that I right away started to look for lasers and see how I could open up my own clinic. And that's a long, beautiful story in itself that I won't go into here. It's too long. But with many miracles and things that happened, we were able to open up our clinic, and we just started, treating with one type of laser. And then I realized, well, not everybody's healing as well as I really wanted to. And that's where I started including these other things, these other modalities, where I started learning about detoxification. So I like to also sometimes call it waste removal, because when we use the word detox, we think, oh, I'm detoxing from drugs or alcohol or things like that. But it's more waste removal of the body. There's so many toxins in the water and the air and so forth. And that's when I started to include that into the laser. And also I met your company, Radiant Life Technology, in 2015, and tried the coMra, the Delta, with the coMra therapy, and I fell in love with it because it was so easy, so gentle, so amazing, and so easy to incorporate into our clinic. And I started to realize, wow, we don't have to just treat with one laser. We can actually treat with multiple devices. And I remember standing there with one Delta and thinking, well, this hand needs to be doing something. So I said, let me get 2 Deltas and let me start treating with 2 at the same time. And that's kind of how I developed that. And then we were placing the Deltas on people's chakras because I believe the Delta is so fabulous. It can also, treat the energy of the body. It's just the energetic fields of the body. So we would place them on certain areas and use our class 4 laser, which is the healing laser, still the light force we use, and we would, treat a leg or a back or something like that. So now many times we actually have a patient lying there. We have 4 or 5 different lasers going on at the same time, and it's not too much. I've really seen that it is not too much. You cannot over laser. That's what my personal experience is. I know there are other experiences. There are other people or other medical scriptures that write, you can overdo it. I'm careful, of course, but there are no side effects, and we see that we can absolutely treat the body with a lot of different lasers in different places. Of course, you're not going to treat one place, 4 or 5 lasers, but the whole, that just treat the body as a whole. So what you can open up the meridians while you're lasering something, or you can balance a chakra while you're lasering something, or do 20. I do now often, since I've been studying Chinese medicine, is calming your system down. So if somebody comes in with a lot of anxiety, we have now learned to bring their whole body back down, like put them back into parasympathetic mode, because when somebody comes in all stressed, right, there's no way that they can heal. It's just our body's not made to heal when we're in stress. So with the Delta, we now are able to bring the patient, calm them down, just, have them relax. We put nice music on. We use the Delta to just relax everything, and then we can start the healing. So we've just incorporated all these different things over the years. We have 8 different lasers and photobiomodulation devices, and we use them depending on what the patient presents with.
That's very nice. Actually, on that topic of over treating someone, I mean, I can resonate very much with what you're saying, that it is practically impossible to ever over treat anyone with light.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's like low-level laser therapy. It's a very low-level laser emission, which is in some cases, in the case of Delta, for example, I don't know the other devices you use, but it's on the verge of being a laser or just an infrared light. So it cannot harm the organism. And there is another thing which I've as well noticed that, or I've understood about coMra and low-level laser therapy, that it cooperates with the very own intelligence of the body.
Exactly.
So it means the body takes as much as it needs, and all the rest is just a waste of your time treating yourself.
Yep.
But nothing more.
Right.
And I remember actually, you mentioned that you were one of the first pioneering with more than one Delta.
I think I was. I can probably say that, because I would say that once years ago, right at one of your meetings. I said, yeah, I use 2 now.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You do. That's awesome. Yeah, we still do it. Sometimes I'll even have 3 or 4.
That's amazing. Very nice. Leslie, why do you think you mentioned that actually your most favorite conditions to treat are those that are not very easily identifiable or discoverable, not discoverable, but actually the source of the pain, of the chronic pain and the chronic condition cannot be very easily identified, because it's usually something which covers the whole body, the fibromyalgia. The pain is all around the body, basically. There is no one source of pain. What do you think is the effect of light and laser therapy in the case of such conditions that actually helps the miracle to happen?
So I use a laser also for the detoxing process. So the laser energy detoxification. So that is a smaller device. And we also use these vials that have a specific frequency in them. And I know this sounds maybe, you know, a little complicated to explain, but it's very, very easy. It's very, very easy. And when we use this laser that has a specific frequency in it, so let's say you have mercury poisoning, you have mercury in your body, and we put this vial that has the mercury frequency in the laser can become the carrier of a frequency. And then when you put it along your body, you sway it along your body, it's going to, that light is going to vibrate with the frequency of the mercury in the body, and it's going to be able to release and shatter into 1,000 pieces, just like a glass will shatter when you sing to the perfect frequency. So I believe, so in laser energy detoxification, that's what's happening. The laser becomes the carrier of this frequency and can transport that into the body. And also when we're treating the laser with the pain, those frequencies that the laser's made of, specific light frequency, specific sound and magnets and so forth, they can be transported cellular deep into the cells because they're going from one cell to one cell. The light is traveling within those frequencies and that energy, and it can just release inflammation, or it can stimulate the cells to heal themselves, or even maybe to go into apoptosis, because a lot of scar tissue is released when we do, you know, photobiomodulation. And so it just helps the whole body to work together, because I always love saying, I say, we're light, the laser's light, and God is light. How can it go wrong, right? It's all light. It all just works together. And we've seen with, so why I want to go back to the detoxing is because that's really where I see those miracles happen with patients who have pain and nobody knows what it is. And my favorite cases are those because I ask the patient what's going on in their life. And if you start listening to the patient, you're always going to find something that's different. And somebody has either been surrounded with specific toxins in their body, or they've been bit by something. And I want to share this story with you because this person came to me and she had years and years of pain, and one couldn't find why. She had, again, her blood results were fine, x-ray and everything was fine. Well, through a concept of muscle testing, if you know what that is, or the the hearers, listeners know what that is you put a substance in your hand, you press on the muscle, and either becomes strong or weak. That's could be a whole other topic, right? But I'm not going to go into that too deeply. But you do muscle testing. And so this woman had the scar, and I asked her about the scar, and she described it. And thank God I had learned about this just 2 weeks ago, and it was a brown recluse spider bite. And so I had that vial in my office, and I muscle tested her for it, and her arm went down. So meaning that, yes, this frequency causes an imbalance in her body. So we used the laser to do a detox, and within 3 days, all her pain was gone. So, you know, and we had done laser therapy with her, and it would get better, but then it would get worse again, and it would get better, and it would get worse again. And so we just noticed that when there's a frequency in your body that's disturbing you, you can really do any therapy that you want. If you don't get rid of that frequency, you're just not going to heal. And so that is really a very important part for those people who are suffering long-term. Now, I'm not saying that you can't adjust that or help yourself if you use, let's say, the Delta at home and treat your liver and treat your spleen and your kidneys and try to detox all that out of your body. And but just the laser detoxing, the way we do it with those vials, have just proven to be very, very successful and very quick.
I understand. By the way, this leads me back to what you were saying at the beginning when we started talking about lasers, about the depth of how deep the laser reaches, which at the end of the day is a question that I've been getting quite often as well with regards to coMra. And I always explain that what you just said. I mean, it is not about the depth of penetration of the laser beam. The process is completely different. The effect is actually a cascade of, it's an information that the laser delivers through the frequencies, and it delivers it through the receptors of the skin, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So it's not about the depth of penetration at all.
Right. Yeah. It's just light that keeps traveling and keeps going in deeper and deeper. And, you know, I think our body works in such an amazing way that we don't even understand yet, really. I think we just don't even understand. We don't have the tools to really see what's going on, right? I always say, if you take a drop of blood and you look at the blood, it's a red little drop of blood, and you say, what do you see? You say, I see blood. What else do you see? I don't see anything else. But now you put it under a microscope. Oh my God, have you ever seen blood under a microscope? The red blood cells, white blood cells, you see little parasites even, which is terrible to think about, but you see a whole world opens up, right? Now, what if we could have instruments that read our energy? I mean, we do technically. We do, the MRIs, they're reading the warmth and everything, but I mean, there's another whole thing about energy, our auric fields, and just our thoughts even could be, energetic, flowing through. And I mean, there's so much more to our body that I don't think we even understand, a millionth of it. So we have to be careful with judging and saying, oh, this sounds stupid, or this doesn't work, or no, we just don't know. We have to be open. We have to be very open to everything. And the more open we are, the more questions we ask about it, the deeper we're going to understand this. And we really have to understand, I think, now that photobiomodulation is a huge part of healing that has just not been looked at really, but it's growing. It's definitely growing.
Well, that's where I think as well. I will call it the classical approach of actually trying to solve a particular process in the body by influencing it through a chemical, for example. What actually the classical drug pharmaceutical actually treatment does, and exactly when you look under a microscope of the blood, and you discover a whole new universe, and there are so many processes happening just within the millisecond between all the cells, and trying to understand all these processes and influence them in some way through just, I don't know, one chemical or a complex of chemicals you put in the body. That's where the help comes short, I think. I mean, you can of course block the receptors in terms of pain, which is very, very helpful when there is an acute pain and an emergency situation.
Sure.
But when it comes to a chronic situation, chronic disease, chronic pain, then that's where actually the classical pharmaceutical medicine comes short. I mean, there is no way how it can treat and solve the problem.
No.
Leslie, all right. So now, actually, back to your introduction as well. I mentioned that you are as well Psych practitioner. You are Reiki master. So you've been also working with energies beyond laser therapy, but also, and this leads as well to your years when you were working as an, if I'm calling it correctly, an assistant to a psychologist.
Assistant to a physician. Yeah.
To a
was
physician.
a physician.
Okay.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was a physician.
Okay, but you ended up actually connecting the physical treatment with the mental treatment right now, and that's where actually the Pay 3 protocol came about.
Right, exactly.
And you've been talking about the connection between negative thoughts patterns as well as the toxins in the cells. How all this actually comes together, how it is connected.
Yes, so the way it came together for me was when I started with laser therapy, we got, several people better, but not everybody. And then I was like, there's got to be something else. And I studied a lot. I studied a lot on YouTube, listened to Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he actually said something that was my trigger. He said, there are 3 reasons why cells are inflamed. 1 is the trauma to the cells, 2, the toxins to the cells, and 3, the emotions to the cells. And I right away said, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. That's why not everybody's getting better, because laser's great, fabulous. You're working on the body, but there's more to it. There's toxins and emotions. I turned that emotions to thoughts because I thought I want to have a nice little, my marketing mind kicked in. And I said, if I have a 3T, then that's good. That looks good. So,
okay.
and a new word for a new way of looking at things and paradigm. So that's how the T3 paradigm was developed. And so then I started going about the toxins and really understanding how do toxins affect our body. So I did that, and that's where I developed, well, with Dr. Lee Cowden, but I have a little bit of an own system in time. Everybody takes something and develops their own way to do things. And so I now had that with the detoxing. And then I started looking at the emotions, and I said, well, somewhere, and I, with the laser and with the detoxing, now I got a lot of people better, but there was still a group of people that I just didn't get better. And I was like, why? Just keep asking why. And I started looking for an easy way to address the emotions, because, there are people that go to the psychiatrist and they go for years and years. And I said, that just can't be that complicated. We got to find something that is faster. And I started researching more about it, came across the Psyche that one can do that is really fabulous. It reprograms your belief systems. And that's where I saw that that could possibly be the case, because you have a belief system and that's what you base your whole life on. And, there are lots of other studies that do the same thing. It's not just Psyche, there's NET and there's Landmark. I did lots of Landmark sessions and all this, where you just look back at your childhood, and we unfortunately build who we are as a grown-up on things that happened to us as a child. And when I started incorporating that emotion thought process, that's when I started to get nearly everybody well. There's a little bit something left still, but up until now, we have just huge success when we address the emotions. And I want to give you an example of a gentleman that I just treated, and we were doing laser therapy. Now, I know laser therapy works. It just does. We just know it does. But he kept getting worse again, and then getting better, and then getting worse. And I was like, it's not possible. Laser will help you if it's just a physical thing. I said, are you willing to look at the emotions? And we did. And it's so interesting. We came up finding that when he was a little boy, his grandfather was very sick, but the grandmother always wanted to give him medicine. And the grandfather said, no, I don't want medicine, because when I'm in pain, I know I'm alive. And that was his belief system. I get goosebumps when I say that, but that was his belief system as a little boy. He saw his grandfather, and his grandfather said, nope, I have to have pain. When I have pain, I know I'm alive. So when we were able to clear that belief out of this patient's mind, because it was his little boy, right? His little inner self always saying, no, you got to have pain, so he got better. But then his subconscious said, no, you can't get better. You got to have pain. Otherwise, you don't know you're alive. So we had to clear that belief. Once we cleared that belief, he came back in the other day crying, said, my pain's gone,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I know, I get goosebumps. It's just, and I have so many of these stories. I can't tell you, since I've been adding this neuroemotional technique and just the thought process, as I call it, it's been unbelievable what that can do. And it just shows us that we really are a combination of it all. We are a combination of our pain, but our pain could be emotional, but it can also be toxic. It could be those toxins that are in our body. And we have to look at it all. We can't just look at one thing, because with that spider bite, had we not detoxed of the spider bite, she'd still be sick today. Even the laser didn't help, right? Even the laser that I believe in so strongly didn't help, because for her, it was pure a toxin. For the other person with the knee, or I have, so many people that have pain, and as soon as we address the emotions, they go, oh my God, I didn't know that I was still holding on to that. You think you've let go, but your cells are still holding on to that. Your cells have that cell memory. And it's so interesting. I had a little experience myself, and it just really brought everything home to me. It was a few years ago, I think, that happened to me. And I was at home, and my dog needed to go out urgently in the morning, and it was 4 o'clock, and he needed to go out quickly. And I run to my door, flip the switch open to let him out, and the alarm goes off. And I go, oh man, I forgot to turn the alarm off, in my dream, dreamy state. So I let the dog out, went back in. But when I touched that door handle and that alarm went off, it gave me such a shock in my body. I was like, So anyway, I went back to bed. The next day, I let the dog out again. I put my hand on that handle, and right away I got this shock, the same shock, but nothing happened. The alarm didn't go off, the door didn't, nothing happened, but I got that shock. And then I let the dog out. The second day, same thing. I had turned the alarm off, but I just every time I kept holding that door knob, my body got like, a shock. And I said to myself, Leslie, you've turned the alarm off. You're good. Let it go. You can let it go. And it took about 3, 4, 5 days of me touching that knob again and telling myself, it's okay. You turned the alarm off. You don't have to have this reaction anymore every time you touch the knob. And it took me a few days to get over it, but it was, something very simple, but it was a very profound lesson to show me that we can literally with one instant program ourselves to feel something. that isn't really there. That's not there anymore. It happened yesterday, but I'm still carrying that emotion with me. And that just really brought it home for me, that very small little thing, what will something traumatic do to your body? People who have been abused or been hurt or saw their parents always fighting, or, there's so many things. We have so many stories. And those things just sit within us. And if we don't let go of that, we cannot move forward. We just can't heal. And so that third T, treating the emotions, to me is really very, very important. And it's part of the whole process. So now when I see my patients, I just do everything together. Even if they feel, no, I'm fine. I say, look, it's not going to hurt you. You can, let's look at the emotions. It's no problem. We do the psyche, and we do different things, and it just works out beautifully. Now just people are just getting better. And if it's not for that pain, it's going to be for something else.
That's very, very beautiful. What you're sharing, and actually what comes up for me as well is that when there are all these patterns, behavioral patterns, which are actually subconscious, and we're not connected with them consciously, but they keep rotating somewhere there in the back of our mind. And that's actually part of what we have been researching in Radiant Life Technologies as well, in connection with coMra and the thing that you explained at the beginning as well about the mitochondria,
Yep.
about the lasers replenishing or help the cells to replenish their mitochondria with new energy. And the research that actually Arjan Surezakov, our Director of Research and Development, did years ago, was around actually all these hidden patterns, or not that hidden patterns in our brain that actually keep draining our energy, because somewhere behind, even if we're not realizing, they keep sustaining themselves, being alive there, and actually draining ourselves out of energy. And that's where I think as well the ups and downs come in treating patients, because they will come to a treatment to your clinic, they will be treated, they will feel some relief, then they will go back home. But when the roots are not addressed,
yep,
then these mechanisms continue existing and draining them of energy, as one of the reasons why the pain comes back, of course.
Absolutely.
So and that's where I see the holistic approach, which goes beyond what holistic is understood in general. Because I think, like, there are a lot of people who would say, well, holistic is about taking care of my food, of what I drink, of what kind of cosmetics I use, how much I sleep, and so on, which is completely correct. But a lot of people actually are oblivion to the mental part of it.
Absolutely. Yes. No, for sure. For sure. I even go this far. So if I have people that are very, very severely ill, and I have this 21-day program where people come out of state and stay with me for 21 days, and then we do a very intensive program, I tell them, before you leave your place, see if somebody can rearrange your room. So if somebody's been bedridden, always in their room and, very sad and in pain, I say, try to rearrange your room, paint it a new color, change your bed another place, change whatever you were always staring at, change that, look out the window, do whatever you can, change that room, because that room is so associated with their pain, right? When they're lying in bed and they're looking at the color, they're looking at something, they're listening to certain music, you keep instilling that pain with your surroundings. So I think it's very important that we become very conscious of that music that you're listening to. If you're in pain and you realize, you're maybe constantly listening to a certain music, stop doing that. Do something else. Go out, do a completely new hobby, listen to new things, do new things, reprogram your brain, and try to just get out of your routine and do different things so that you can reprogram something that is going to be more healthy and better for you.
How is Lee doing today, by the way?
Lee is doing fabulous. Thank you so much. She's here in the office, always here helping me run the clinic, and she's doing absolutely fabulous. We're just so thankful.
And she works with you, right? She's
Yes,
also
she does.
also so developing herself in the laser therapy field, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, she's a great laser therapist, and she has, good intuition. And we often talk about how we should do things, how we should treat somebody, or, we just bounce ideas back and forth. And she's very intuitive as well, and say, oh, I think we should do this or should do that. And it's about constantly learning and growing, and growing as a practitioner as well, and just, see how can I help my patient next? What can I do? What's out there on the market? How can we treat the patients better and faster?
Okay, okay. Well, what other lasers are you using beyond coMra therapy? You said that you have a couple of different lasers.
Yes, I have. So something that I love is called the iCoon, and that is a machine that does lymphatic massage, but also has a laser head on it. So what's very important too, when people are like with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, usually your lymph system is just blocked and clogged. So when we use that, we open up the lymph system, we massage very lightly and with laser. So that's really fabulous that they've come up with this device that will move the lymph, but also use laser and light to help it. And so we have that. Then we have the Light Force, which I really love. That's a professional machine that you can't buy as a person. So, but that's a very, very good device. It has warmth on it, so that's warm, but not too hot, obviously. But it's very nice and soothing. And it has a massage ball on the end, so you can actually open up. People have fibromyalgia. We massage the knots that are there, and they open up really nicely through the laser, the light, and the massaging and the pressing on. So it's really nice. And then we have light therapy, various light therapy mats that people can lie on. We have the Pure Wave as well. That's not a laser, but that's something that brings up your energy so that your cells are basically prepared when we give laser. So we always put people on a mat first. Well, they're just automatically under our beds. So we put the machine on, and it's bringing up your cells, opening up your cells to receive the energy that we're giving with the devices. And in our clinic, I think we have like 6 deltas because we just love them so much. We, give them to our patients too. So when, say, we'll treat a back and somebody's saying, I have wrist pain, we'll give them the delta themselves to hold. And so we're actually engaging them in their own healing, which is really nice, So, and then so they're getting extra treatment so they can treat themselves. And I love, they're just like, oh, I have pain here, let me put it here. And instinctively they'll put it different places. So we love doing that too, letting the patient be involved in their active healing as well.
Well, how important that is actually for the final effect to have the
Yes,
patient commit to the healing themselves and basically, yeah, just as well be part of it.
exactly. Be part of it. And then usually those patients end up, not always, but they usually end up saying, wow, I really love this device. Can I buy this? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. And so they'll purchase it and they'll continue their healing journey at home. And some people were saying, well, that's not good business to sell your laser. You're going to lose the patients. It's not about that. It's about helping the people. It's about, we really have to come from a place of helping and wanting to help those people. And then they get their device, they take it home, they love it. They'll still come back for something else, or they'll recommend somebody else. It's not cutting into your business. So any other practitioners out there, I would encourage that. Let your patients use the Delta. Let them work on themselves while you're treating them, and just broaden their knowledge, broaden your knowledge about the Delta and laser in general, or photobiomodulation, and just see the miracles that happen are just so fabulous and so amazing. We're so blessed every day. I am so blessed to be able to see the change in people. And and I always say we, because I believe it's the universe, you guys. I mean, all of your love that has gone into the device is automatically in the device. When I hold it in my hands, I always hold it with such gratitude to what's gone into it, the love that you as a company have put into it. I just think it radiates in the device. And I think the device just in itself is just so healing because of all the love that has been put into it from your company, from patients that have gotten. It's becoming a collective, that collective love that you start feeling. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And I'm so blessed to have, to be able to use it and to give it to my patients, and for my patients to use it, and just to see the healing that happens every day.
Do you see any differences in terms of, I mean, you've already have quite a long experience in terms of different conditions that you treat by one or the other, like with coMra or with other lasers. What is the usual pattern that you have been noticing?
So that's a good question. And it's a little challenging to answer that question because I don't know exactly what is. I use a lot of intuition when I go towards the patient. So I will sometimes intuitively think, yeah, this laser is going to be better for this patient. I also have started muscle testing it, where the patient will hold the laser and we'll start muscle testing just to see if the intuition is correct. And in general, usually all of the devices have their specialties, but you can't always say, okay, for knee pain or arthritis, I'm going to use this device, or for this, I'm going to use that. Yes, there is usually a rule that I follow. You know, if somebody has a lot of nerve pain, I'm going to usually start with the delta because the delta is so gentle. And if I use a high powered laser at 25 watt, that's not going to be good for a patient who has nerve issues. So there are certain rules that I do follow. But in general, sometimes a patient will not respond with one device and then I'll use the other and then they respond beautifully. So it's it's tricky to say, oh, this device is exactly for that or this device. No, we're all different. We're all separate. A very interesting case I just had 4 days ago. A young man came in and he had a motorbike accident and his knee was very hurt. And it took him a long time to recover from that injury. And he developed CRPS, that's complex regional pain syndrome, where your body just has pain. And because it's somehow in a state still that that it just doesn't, I guess, doesn't recognize where the nerves are supposed to be or how everything should be connected. It's just like, you know, your nerve systems are just off the wall, doesn't know what to do and how to respond. And so you touch, just the lightest touch of the skin will cause excruciating pain. So this young boy who was a soccer player and an athlete, he couldn't do anything anymore. He was in bed, even in bed, the linens just touching his knee would just, you know, send him through the roof. So he wasn't sleeping at night. And it was quite amazing that I tried all these different devices and he had so much pain on every device I used. Every single device I used, I couldn't laser his leg. So I'm studying Chinese medicine now, and there we're learning to mirror. So you can mirror and cross mirror. So I thought, well, if I can't treat his left leg that's in pain, let me treat the right leg. So I treated the right leg and just hoped, asking for a miracle, right? Treated the right leg, a little bit in his lower back, thinking the nerves are coming down there too. And after 3 treatments, he's now completely healed. And his mom just sent me a beautiful text last night. You know, she was crying. She said he's out there playing his bike. He's like a normal kid again. It was months of him in pain. And we were talking about conventional medicine before, right? And what they were doing is just putting him on certain medications that were just making him loopy and sick and still having the pain. Some medications just don't help nerve pain, just doesn't. And she got him off the medicine right away again. And there was no other alternative in traditional medicine. They just have medicine, you know. And so here again with the laser, we were able to relieve that within just 3-4 days. And it's just, again, a miracle, you know, just absolutely beautiful how this works.
Well, Leslie, I must say you are really, really blessed to work in such an environment and see all these people, you know, coming to you
Yeah.
in pain and then seeing these miracles happening.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely, for sure, for sure. But I'm sure,
Beautiful, beautiful.
thank you. I'm sure many other people have that too. You know, there are a lot of healers out there, a lot of people using the devices. So I think we're all very blessed to be able to do this kind of work, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Leslie, on that note, I would ask you, what would be your final message to any person listening us right now, being in pain, not being able or not being able to find any solution?
Mm.
What would be your message to them?
Well, what I would say for sure is never give up hope. Just don't give up hope. That's number one. You know, there is help out there for you. And then the other thing is to, if you're listening to this, then look at your pain from a different aspect. See, number one, look at the toxins. Were you subjected to anything? Did you did you do anything that, were you playing with mercury, or were you bit by something, or when did the pain start? What could have happened? Are you exposed to mold? Well, that's another thing that conventional medicine doesn't even address, is mold, you know, parasites, those kind of things. They address it, but they don't take that into consideration, how devastating that can be if you live in a moldy environment. It can kill your body. So, look at that. Are you living in an environment that could be toxic, that's moldy, asbestos, all those things? So look at that. Then also look at your emotional side. Do you feel you had a hard childhood, or did something happen to you? Are you really taking responsibility for your sickness, or are you are just putting it out there and say, oh, poor me? And and even if that happens, that's okay, but now that you've maybe heard this podcast, or you have heard other things in your life that maybe can spark you to be, maybe there's something else to my disease. Maybe I'm not my disease and you're not your disease. That's what you have to know. You're separate from it. And the minute you can become separate and you can look at yourself from a third perspective and look at yourself and say, okay, what's really going on? And the thing is, people sometimes say, well, that's easy for you to say, nothing's happened to you. No, I've had a lot of stuff happen to me. And sometimes I share that and sometimes I don't. But it's not always been easy for, everybody. Everybody has their story, right? And so you have to work out of it. You have to really address your emotions. You have to address your emotions. I've had that too, where I've had so much pain, and I literally had pain in my knees and they were swollen. And it was like, this cannot be emotional. I said to myself, it's impossible. This has to be real. And because it was swollen, I couldn't put my jeans on anymore. But what was happening is I was taking care of someone and it was a difficult situation for me. And I was in a place of fear, and I was in a place of frustration. And I just one day was on my crutches and I said, I can't believe this. I have a clinic and I can't help myself. And I got so frustrated and I just fell into bed, started crying, and said, I just can't move away from here. And the minute I heard myself say, I can't move away from here, I realized, wow, that's what's happening. My body is creating this because I can't move from here. So I started addressing the emotions. I have a lot of healing friends myself, right? You as I'm just saying, a healer or practitioner, you can't really heal yourself, unfortunately. You can try, but you need your group of friends. So I have a really wonderful group of friends and we all heal and help each other. And so they helped me and they did some things with me and some healings and different things like that. And I started journaling and writing, and I really started to address the root cause of my knees. Why am I in fear? Why do I have these issues going on? And I was able to really work through it, and my pain went away. And the whole swelling went away, and I didn't need any aspiration of the fluid in my knee. I was able to get rid of it through my emotions. But when I started this years and years ago, I had knee pain and I did the laser, and that worked beautifully. And that was at the time, that was my trauma, the physical trauma. But over the years, I had emotional issues that happened. And unfortunately, our emotional issues always go where we have our weakness, right? So my weakness are my knees. So my emotional issues always hit me on my knees. So anytime I have knee pain, I sit and I say, okay, Leslie, what's going on? What are you not looking at, or what are you fearing? And I sit down, I try to analyze myself. I do the work on myself that I do with my patients, and help get my friends in if it's too difficult for me, and then I usually get rid of that. So I just really want to say the message, just really look at your disease as a gift somehow. I know it sounds terrible to say it's a gift, but it is somewhere a gift because it's telling you where you need to address your issues that are going on. That's what Reiki brings in too. You're bringing in, you're saying, just for today, I shall not be in pain. Just for today, I'm going to be strong, because you want to live in just for today. Don't let the past be who you are today. Don't let the past dictate you. And I don't want this to be wrong, to get understood wrong from people who are in pain saying, oh, yeah, it's in my head. No, 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 it's not in your head. I understand. You have real pain. Your pain is real. You have probably the three things going on. You have trauma. You have something that's going on, toxicity in your body, but also the emotions. You've had this so long that your emotions are just built into it. So even when you try a therapy, it might not help because you have your belief that you're never going to get better. So that's where that T3 comes in. We have to address the three things when you're chronically ill, because you've just your belief now is, I'm never going to get better. The more doctors you go to and another doctor says, we can't help you, well, now you've just instilled that belief again. Nobody can help me. So, that's what we have to work on. And every pain is real. I respect everybody who comes in here with pain. I never think or say, oh, it's in your head. That has nothing to do with that. It's just that it's become your belief system. And you have been in pain 100%. I understand that 100% you've been in pain. And even if that pain were to be emotional long term, it's still pain. It's emotional pain. We just don't call it pain. You know, we just don't call it that. We always say, oh, it's mental health, but that's pain. You just can't read it. You don't have a bone that's broken. You can't read it on MRI. But one day when we have those machines or devices that will be able to read our emotional pain, we'll be able to say, see, that's where the pain is. It's an emotional pain, and we can help you with that. But it's true, it's real pain. And that's what I really want listeners to know, that we understand the pain is real, and we understand that we believe that we can help you as well, when we address all those three things, and to just never give up hope.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. If any of the listeners would like to reach out to you and work with you, consult with you, what are the ways to reach out to you to connect?
Sure, thank you. So you can go on the website, which is carmencare.com, just 2 C's, carmencare.com. Or I can give out the phone number here at the office. It's 561-405-9577. We have a 24/7 answering service machine. So we're answering people who actually answer the phone. Christmas, New Year, anytime, 24 hours a day. So you can call in and they will right away send me a text or an email that I need to call you back.
And that's United States, Florida, for those
Yes.
who might not be from the United States.
Yep.
And of course, all this information will be as well written in the description of the podcast. So if you are right now, any of you listening and would like to get in touch with Leslie, all the information is somewhere down there below in the description. So check it out and get in touch. Leslie, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Oh, I thank you for this opportunity. You are all doing such wonderful things. I really appreciate being on here, sharing my story with you, and appreciate everything you are all doing for the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
To all you dear listeners, thank you very much for listening to this episode till the end. If you haven't heard all our previous episodes, please go find us on any of the major podcast platforms. We are also on YouTube, on social media. And if you would like to stay in touch, please go and subscribe or follow us. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you at the next episode. Leslie Carmen, one more time, thank you, Leslie. Have a beautiful day, and we'll be in touch again soon, I guess.
Yes, thank you. To all your listeners, goodbye and thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.